we're at the point where we want to add style. And to do that, we're going to use cascading style sheets. And that acronym for that is CSS. Here I have a page that has all of the content and structure that I expect. And now I want to add style. So to do that, here's my HTML file. And I'm going to add a new file. So I'm going to create a whole brand new file. And it's in here that I'm going to do the CSS coding. Now, the CSS uses style rules and style blocks. And a style block looks like this. It has a selector, and then an opening curly brace and a closing curly brace. And inside here, we put a property, colon, and then the value of that property, followed by a semicolon. Let's talk about each one of these categories. So the selector is the tag name. So it refers to, we're going to select what we want the style to be applied to. So this might be the body tag, it might be the paragraph tag, it might be an A tag, it might be a heading 1. So lots of different things we can put here for the selectors. So that's what selectors are and how you access them. What about properties? Properties are the actual CSS style properties that are available. And if you go to W3 Schools, you can find a list of the properties. Over here in the left side, these are the CSS properties in alphabetical order. Notice that you don't get to make these up. You just have to use the ones that exist. And these are the different parts of the HTML element that we can adjust the style on. If you go on the right side, it categorizes them in groups. So here it talks about background and borders, and we can go there and we can see lots of different things that apply to the background. So we're going to learn a few of the different properties, and these have to be specific and already created. Some of the examples are text align, background color, color that changes the text, and each of these do different things. So there's lots of different properties, and we just learn about a property and then we apply it when we want. The last thing is the value, and the value can be, sometimes it's something that we can make up. Within each property, there are a set of values that are allowed. Some of the values might be a size, so that we might be able to say 62 pixels. So that could be a length. It might be a keyword like right, that there's some special meaning about that with some of the properties that we could use. It might be a percent. So there are different values that are allowed, and each property has its own set of allowed values, and we need to know what those are. And then from those allowed values, we can choose what they are. One of the really common allowed values is a color. So we can specify the color with a hex number that starts with a pound sign, and then however much red you want, however much green you want, and then the last 2 digits are however much blue you want. And so a hex color would look like that. Another kind of color is the RGB color. And although RGB colors are formatted a little bit different, they capture the same information. And the way that you do RGB is actually use the letters RGB, and then in parentheses you're going to put 3 numbers. And the first number is how much red that you want. Now these numbers are not hex numbers, these are decimal numbers. So, and they can range from 0 to 255. So I might say, okay, I want about half of the red, 128, and then I want some green, and I want all of the blue. And so here I have decimal numbers again, 0 to 255, how much red, how much green, and how much blue. So a variety of values that you can use. All right, let's do an example of these. Now I'm going to put this information, this isn't going to work because this isn't in the correct format. This is just outlining how they look. So I'm going to do a new file where I'll put actual CSS. And here I need to put the selector. I want this to apply to the whole body tag. And so I'm going to use body as my selector. then my opening and curly braces, and the property that I want to use is background color, hyphen color, colon, remember that's a colon there, and now I'm going to put my color, and I'm going to use FF0000, so that's going to be all red, no green, no blue, and I'm going to save this file. I'm going to save it in exactly the same location as my HTML file, and you can call it whatever you want. So I'm going to just call it my style dot, and now here, this is important, CSS is the extension that we want to use here. All right, now I save that, and if I go back over to my web page, nothing's happened. And the reason nothing has happened is because I have to connect my web page to the style sheet. Right, they're in two separate files and they need to be connected. The way that I do that is I go into my HTML page. This is where I make the connections in my HTML page, and I'm going to use a link tag. Here, this page already has a link tag that links an icon to it, and we can see that because that icon is right there in the tab. But we want to now link it to a style sheet. So we still use the link tag, but now the relationship is style sheet. And the type, this is a text slash CSS is the type of file that we're linking to it. And then we put the href. And remember, the href is a relative address. And this is exactly in the same place, so I won't have a folder. And the name of it, what I named it, was mystyle.css. And then this is self-closing, so I want to put the slash greater than sign. Save it, and then come back and refresh. And there, we see what has happened. It's the style, the CSS is added to the entire body, right? So the body tag is right here. So everything from the top of the body to the end now has a background color of red. Yeah, and there you can see how style is applied and connected to a web page.